The vast chamber of the Imperial Council glittered with holographic displays, showing thousands of star systems under the Empire's control. Grand Admiral Thomas stood before the council, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the central display, showing a small blue planet. "Distinguished council members, I must insist you reconsider your decision about Earth," Thomas said, his voice echoing in the chamber. He had served the Empire for 30 years, since humanity joined the galactic community, and he knew trouble when he saw it. High Counselor Reed waved his hand dismissively. A primitive world with barely functional space travel. What possible threat could they pose to the mighty Empire? Thomas stepped forward, pulling up historical records on the main display. Earth's history tells a different story. These humans, they're unlike any species we've encountered. The council members shifted uncomfortably as images of Earth's wars flashed across the screen. Thomas continued, "While we fought wars of conquest with superior technology, these humans fought themselves with sticks and stones, then swords, then gunpowder, then nuclear weapons. They've never stopped adapting, never stopped improving their ways of warfare." "Barbaric," muttered one council member. "No," Thomas corrected, "innovative, creative. In every war they fought, the side with inferior numbers or technology often emerged victorious through sheer adaptability and unconventional thinking." Reed leaned forward, his golden robes shimmering. "Admiral, you forget yourself. We have conquered 10,000 worlds. Our fleets span 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. What can one primitive world do against our might?" Thomas pulled up one final image, Earth's current military satellites. "They're not as primitive as they appear. Look closely at their orbital patterns. These aren't just communication satellites. They're hiding something." "Enough." Reed stood up, his patience wearing thin. "The decision is made. Earth will receive the same treatment as all worlds that refuse to join our empire willingly. Send the message." In Earth's orbit, military commanders gathered in the hidden underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. General Wilson stared at the translated message displayed on the main screen. 18 species of Sol-3, designation Earth. Your plan ETHAS BEEN solicited for integration into the Galactic Empire. Subordinate to imperial rule within one standard CYCLE or face elimination. This is your own LOWAR. Aiming. The room erupted in controlled chaos. Colonel Parker, head of space defense, stepped forward. "They don't know about Project Guardian." General Wilson nodded grimly. 30 years of preparing in secret since we first detected their signals. They think we're primitive because that's what we wanted them to think. On the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Thomas watched as the Empire's invasion fleet prepared to depart. He knew what was coming. He had studied Earth's history too well to dismiss them. As he watched the massive ships enter hyperspace, he sent a private message to his most trusted commanders. "Be ready for anything. These humans, they don't fight like the others. They don't follow the rules of warfare as we know them. And most importantly, they never give up." Back on Earth, General Wilson stood before the United Earth Defense Council. "Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. Project Guardian is now active." Above Earth, seemingly harmless satellites began transforming, revealing hidden weapons systems developed over decades. In underground bases across the planet, experimental ships powered up, their designs incorporating lessons from centuries of warfare. General Wilson's voice was steady as he drafted humanity's response to the Empire. "To the Galactic Empire. We choose neither submission nor elimination. Come find out why." Humanity. In the Imperial Palace, High Counselor Reed dismissed Admiral Thomas's final warning. After all, what could one small planet do against the mighty Empire? He would soon learn why Admiral Thomas had tried to warn them. He would learn why Thomas had said those fateful words. "If you value the Empire, Don't provoke the humans. They're not like the others. When they fight, everything you know about warfare becomes meaningless. The first shots of the war were about to be fired, and the galaxy would never be the same. Deep within the Rocky Mountain Command Center, General Wilson walked through rows of holographic displays showing Earth's hidden defenses coming online. 30 years of secret preparation were about to be tested. "Show me Project Guardian status," he ordered. The main screen lit up with green indicators. What the Empire thought were simple communications satellites were actually a network of advanced weapon platforms. Each one carried technology that humanity had kept hidden since their first contact with alien life. "Sir," Colonel Parker called out, "all fleet commanders are ready for the briefing." The general nodded and stepped onto the circular platform. Around him, holograms appeared showing commanders from hidden bases worldwide. Some came from underwater bases in the Pacific, others from bunkers under the Sahara, and more from stations buried in the Antarctic ice. "Ladies and gentlemen," Wilson began, "the moment we've prepared for has arrived. The Empire thinks we're primitive. Let's show them how wrong they are." He pressed a button, revealing Earth's true military strength. Hidden hangars opened worldwide. In the ocean depths, massive doors slid apart. Under the polar ice, steel barriers lifted. From each location emerged ships unlike anything the Empire had seen before. These ships, Wilson explained, were built using everything we learned from Earth's wars. No two are exactly alike. The Empire expects standard tactics. They expect us to fight like everyone else. That's not how humans wage war. Commander Roberts from the Pacific Fleet spoke up. "Sir, our ships are smaller than theirs. How do we stand a chance?" Wilson smiled. "The same way Earth's guerrilla fighters have always defeated larger forces. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we disappear. The Empire fights like an army. We'll fight like raiders." In space, the first Imperial scouts entered the solar system. They expected to find a helpless planet. Instead, their sensors detected nothing. Earth appeared almost empty. "Strange," the Imperial captain muttered. "Where are their orbital defenses?" The answer came suddenly. 3 small Earth ships appeared from behind Mars. Before the Imperial scouts could react, the Earth ships fired special weapons that didn't show up on Imperial sensors. 2 scout ships exploded instantly. The third managed to send a brief message before meeting the same fate. Back in the command center, cheers erupted as the report came in. "First blood to humanity," someone shouted. But General Wilson remained serious. This was just the scouts. The real test comes when their main fleet arrives. On the main screen, they watched as Project Guardian's true purpose was revealed. The satellite network wasn't just for defense. Each satellite contained technology that could interfere with Imperial faster-than-light travel. The entire solar system was becoming one giant trap. "Remember your training," Wilson addressed his commanders. "Small squad tactics. Hit and run attacks. Use the asteroid belt for cover. Earth's gravity well is our ally. Make them fight in ways they've never fought before." In the Imperial flagship, light years away, Admiral Thomas received the last transmission from the scout ships. He shook his head slowly, remembering Earth's military history. The Empire thought space warfare had rules. Humans had never cared for rules in war. "They're using the entire solar system as a battlefield," he muttered, "just like I warned them they would." The Empire's main fleet was approaching, confident in their superior numbers and technology. They didn't know that humans had spent centuries perfecting the art of defeating superior forces. General Wilson made his final preparations. Earth ships took hidden positions throughout the solar system. The satellite network charged its disruptive fields. In bases around the planet, pilots and crews readied themselves for the fight of their lives. "Send one last message to the Empire," Wilson commanded. On every Imperial ship, the same words appeared. "You had your chance to run. Now learn why humans never lose wars of survival. Welcome to our killing ground." The Empire was about to learn why Admiral Thomas had been so worried. They were about to learn that humans didn't just fight wars. They rewrote the rules of warfare itself. The real battle was about to begin, and humanity was ready. The Imperial battle fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. 500 massive warships, each one bigger than Earth's largest cities, formed a perfect attack formation. Their golden hulls gleamed in the distant sunlight. Commander Black of the Imperial First Fleet smiled at the sight of the small blue planet ahead. "Such a tiny world to show such defiance," he said to his bridge crew. "Begin the standard invasion pattern." But something was wrong. "Sir," an Imperial officer shouted, "our ships, they're slowing down." Throughout the Imperial fleet, engines struggled against an invisible force. The Project Guardian satellites had created an artificial gravity web, turning space itself into a trap. The perfect Imperial formation began to break apart. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, General Wilson watched the enemy's confusion with grim satisfaction. "They're caught in our net. All ships, execute Battle Plan Thunder." From behind asteroids, beneath the ice rings of Saturn, and even from hiding spots beneath Mars' polar ice caps, Earth's ships emerged. They were smaller than Imperial vessels, but moved like lightning. Each one attacked from a different direction, never staying still long enough to be targeted. "Impossible," Commander Black shouted as his sensors showed human ships appearing and disappearing. "They're using the solar system's gravity wells to move faster than our targeting systems can track." The first Imperial ships began to fall. Human vessels would appear suddenly, fire their strange weapons that Imperial shields couldn't stop, and vanish again into the complex gravitational fields they had learned to navigate like their ancient sailors had once used ocean currents. Admiral Thomas watched from his command ship at the rear of the Imperial fleet. "Just as I feared," he muttered. "They're not fighting a space battle. They're fighting a naval guerrilla war in 3 dimensions." Earth's ships struck like wolves hunting larger prey. They targeted engines, weapons, and communication arrays. No 2 attacks came from the same direction. The Imperial fleet's formation, designed for traditional space combat, was worse than useless. "Sir," Colonel Parker reported to General Wilson, "Imperial ships are trying to regroup near Jupiter." Wilson nodded. "Spring the trap." Hidden weapons platforms around Jupiter's moons activated. Electromagnetic pulses, designed specifically to disrupt Imperial technology, flashed across space. 30 Imperial ships went dark, their crews trapped inside powerless vessels. Commander Black was furious. "How are they doing this? They're supposed to be primitive." The answer came in a transmission from a human commander. "You forgot to check Earth's history. We've spent thousands of years perfecting the art of defeating superior forces. Space just gave us more room to set traps." In the command center, General Wilson received reports of Imperial ships retreating. "They're falling back to regroup," he announced. "All ships, execute Plan Hammer." Earth's fleet split into smaller groups, each one harassing the retreating Imperial ships. They had studied Earth's ancient cavalry tactics, learning how to strike at a retreating enemy without getting caught. Admiral Thomas watched as his fleet fell into chaos. These humans didn't fight like any species the Empire had encountered. They used gravity like terrain, turning celestial bodies into cover. They treated space like Earth's ancient oceans, using 3-dimensional tactics that Imperial commanders couldn't understand. "Send an emergency message to the Imperial capital," Thomas ordered. "Tell them, these beings fight like demons. They turn space itself into a weapon. Request immediate reinforcements." Back on Earth, General Wilson studied the battlefield display. 1/5 of the Imperial fleet was destroyed or disabled. The rest were retreating in disorder. Earth had lost only 12 ships. "They'll be back," Wilson said to his commanders. "And next time, they'll be ready for these tactics. But that's why we have plans lightning through storm ready. Humanity never uses the same trick twice." As the Imperial fleet retreated, they left behind their damaged ships. Earth vessels moved in to capture them, already preparing to learn their technology. Humans had always been good at taking enemy weapons and turning them against their former owners. The first major battle was over. The Empire had learned its first lesson about fighting humans. Never expect them to follow the normal rules of war. But this was just the beginning. The real war was about to start. The imperial capital shook with anger. For the first time in 10,000 years, an imperial fleet had retreated in defeat. The High Council chamber was filled with shouts and demands for revenge. High Counselor Reed slammed his fist on the table. Send in the main battle fleet. All of it. Admiral Thomas stood quietly in the corner, watching the council's rage. The humans will be ready for that too, he warned. But no one listened. 2 days later, 2,000 Imperial warships appeared at the edge of the solar system. This time, they moved carefully, watching for the gravity traps that had caught the first fleet. Commander Black, now leading this massive force, smiled coldly. We've learned their tricks. They can't surprise us again. He was wrong. As the Imperial fleet approached Mars, the planet's surface suddenly erupted. Hidden bunkers built under the red sand opened up, revealing hundreds of missile launchers. Humanity had turned Mars itself into a weapon. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, General Wilson watched the Imperial fleet scatter under the unexpected attack. Begin Phase 2, he ordered. Earth's ships emerged from hidden bases on various moons and asteroids. But this time, they were different. The humans had studied the captured Imperial ships and adapted their own vessels overnight. Impossible, an Imperial captain shouted as his sensors showed the human ships. They've already copied our shield technology. Colonel Parker smiled as she led her squadron against the Imperial right flank. You gave us working examples of your technology, she transmitted to the enemy ships. Humans are very good at learning from their enemies. The battle spread across the entire solar system. Human ships used tactics from Earth's ancient navies, treating asteroid fields like island chains and gas giant gravity wells like ocean currents. Every moon, every asteroid, every piece of space debris could hide a human ambush. Commander Black watched in horror as his carefully planned formation fell apart. They're everywhere. How can they coordinate such complex attacks? The answer came in the form of small, stealthy ships that darted between the larger battles. Humans had created a whole class of vessels dedicated to communication and coordination, hidden from Imperial sensors by technology reverse-engineered from the captured ships. Sir, a young officer reported to General Wilson, the Empire is trying to use their superior numbers to overwhelm our defenses. Wilson nodded calmly. Just as we expected. Execute Operation Hornet's Nest. Suddenly, the space around Earth lit up with thousands of small automated drones. Each one was simple, cheap, and carried a single weapon. But there were countless of them, swarming the Imperial ships like angry insects. Admiral Thomas watched the battle from his command ship, still held in reserve. They've taken every lesson from their history of warfare and applied it to space combat, he reported to the Imperial capital. They're using swarm tactics from their ancient battles, guerrilla warfare from their forests and jungles, and naval strategies from their oceans. The Imperial fleet's huge ships, designed to fight traditional space battles, couldn't track the tiny drones. While they were distracted, Earth's main fleet struck from multiple directions. All ships, report status. Commander Black ordered desperately. The reports were devastating. 300 Imperial ships destroyed, 500 damaged. The rest were scattered across the solar system, their perfect formation shattered. In the command center, General Wilson received news that made him smile. Sir, our engineering teams have finished studying the captured Imperial engines. We can now replicate their faster-than-light drives. For the first time, the general allowed himself to laugh. The Empire gave us exactly what we needed, the ability to take the war to their space. As the remains of the Imperial fleet retreated in disorder, Earth's ships regrouped and began preparations for their first offensive operation. The Empire had just learned another lesson about humanity. Every defeat made humans stronger as they learned and adapted with incredible speed. "Send a message to all Earth forces," Wilson commanded. "The defensive phase is over. Now we show the Empire why humans are the most dangerous species they've ever encountered." The war was about to change. Earth was no longer just defending. It was getting ready to attack. 1 month after the Great Battle in the Solar System, Earth's forces gathered around Jupiter. 50 ships, built with reverse-engineered Imperial technology, prepared for humanity's first attack beyond their home system. General Wilson stood on the bridge of the flagship Thunderchild, named after an old story about humans fighting alien invaders. The ship was a perfect mix of human ingenuity and Imperial technology. "All ships report ready," Colonel Parker announced. "The Empire still doesn't know we can use their faster-than-light drives." Wilson nodded. "Then let's surprise them. Operation Lightning begins now." The Earth fleet vanished into faster-than-light travel, but they didn't use it the way the Empire did. Human scientists had studied the captured technology and found a better way to use it. On an Imperial border world, alarm sirens suddenly blared. The guards expected to see a normal Imperial attack force appearing at the system's edge. Instead, human ships burst into existence right next to their orbital defenses. "How did they get so close?" an Imperial commander screamed. "The safety protocols don't allow jumps that precise." The answer came from the human ships. "We rewrote your rules. Humans don't care about safety protocols when we're at war." Earth's ships struck with devastating speed. They had studied the Imperial defense plans found in captured computers. They knew every weakness, every blind spot, every flaw in the Empire's supposedly perfect systems. Back in the Rocky Mountain Command Center, reports of victory started coming in. "First Imperial border world captured, sir," an officer reported. "Our forces suffered 0 losses." But General Wilson was already planning the next phase. "Begin Operation Storm. Release the hunter-killer teams." Small, fast ships appeared near every major Imperial world. Each carried Special Forces troops trained in Earth's ancient arts of sabotage and infiltration. The Empire had never faced enemies who could strike from within. Admiral Thomas watched in growing concern as reports flooded the Imperial capital. "They're not just copying our technology," he warned the Council. "They're improving it, making it deadlier. No species has ever adapted this fast." High Counselor Reed's face had lost its usual confidence. "How are they doing this? We've conquered thousands of worlds, and none of them ever." "Because you gave them exactly what they needed," Thomas interrupted. "You showed humans advanced technology, then tried to kill them. There's nothing more dangerous than a human who has been backed into a corner with tools to fight back." Across Imperial space, human ships appeared and disappeared seemingly at will. They didn't try to hold territory like the Empire expected. Instead, they struck critical targets and vanished before the Imperial fleet could respond. In the captured Imperial border world, Colonel Parker oversaw the conversion of Imperial factories to human control. "Sir," she reported to General Wilson, "we've improved the production rate by 300%. Humans are simply better at making weapons." Wilson smiled. The Empire had given humanity access to advanced technology, expecting them to take years to understand it. Instead, humans had learned, adapted, and improved it in weeks. "Begin Phase 3, he ordered. Suddenly, Imperial communication channels across the galaxy filled with messages. Humans had hacked their networks, spreading word of the Empire's defeats to every subjugated species in the galaxy. "Listen to all Imperial subjects," the messages said. "The Empire is not invincible. Humans have proved that. Look at your own history. Remember who you were before they conquered you. It's time to remember how to fight." Admiral Thomas watched as reports of rebellions began flooding in from across the galaxy. This was their plan all along, he realized. They're not just fighting our ships. They're destroying our power from within. In the command center, General Wilson reviewed the latest battle reports. Earth ships were now faster than Imperial vessels. Human weapons could punch through Imperial shields. Every defeat taught humans new ways to win. "Send word to all Earth forces," he ordered. "The Empire thought they could conquer us. Instead, they gave us the tools to free the galaxy." The war had changed. Humanity wasn't just defending Earth anymore. They were bringing revolution to the stars. And the Empire was starting to feel real fear. The Imperial capital was burning. Not from human attacks, but from riots. Thousands of beings from conquered worlds filled the streets, all inspired by humanity's success against their oppressors. High Counselor Reed stood in his chamber, watching the chaos through armored windows. "How did it come to this?" he whispered. Behind him, Admiral Thomas entered the room. "I tried to warn you," he said. "Humans didn't just beat our fleets. They showed the galaxy that we can be defeated." The chamber doors burst open. A group of council members rushed in. "The outer systems are in full revolt," one shouted. 50 worlds have already declared independence. On Earth, General Wilson watched the reports of rebellion spreading across the Empire. The Rocky Mountain Command Center's main screen showed hundreds of systems, turning from Imperial Red to neutral green. "Operation Wildfire is working better than we expected," Colonel Parker reported. "Our messages about freedom and resistance are spreading faster than the Empire can stop them." Wilson nodded. "Humans aren't the only species that remembers what it's like to fight for freedom. We just reminded them." Deep in Imperial space, a human strike team led by Commander Roberts carried out another precision raid. Their target, the Empire's main propaganda center. "Charges set," Roberts reported as his team worked. "When this goes down, every Imperial citizen will see the truth about their leaders." The explosion wasn't just physical. It released thousands of secret Imperial documents into the public network. Records of atrocities, lies, and corruption spread across the galaxy at light speed. In the Imperial Council chamber, chaos erupted. "We must sue for peace," shouted one counselor. "Never." Reed slammed his fist down. "We cannot show weakness." "The Empire is already weak," Admiral Thomas said quietly. "The humans didn't just beat our military. They destroyed our image of invincibility." On a dozen former Imperial worlds, human teachers shared Earth's military history with local resistance fighters. They taught them about guerrilla warfare, about how small forces could defeat larger ones, about never giving up. "Your Empire taught us about advanced technology," one human instructor told his alien students. "Now we're teaching you about the one thing they could never defeat, the will to be free." General Wilson received a surprising message from the Imperial capital. The Council was facing something unprecedented, a vote of no confidence in their leadership. "Sir," Colonel Parker reported, "our intelligence suggests Admiral Thomas may take control. He's the only one who understood the threat we posed from the beginning." Wilson remembered Thomas's early warnings to the Empire. "He's dangerous," the general said. "He actually understands how humans think." Across Imperial space, more worlds declared independence every hour. The Empire's mighty fleets were scattered, trying to contain thousands of rebellions on hundreds of worlds. Even loyal Imperial citizens were questioning their leaders. Humanity's message was simple but powerful. If one small world could defeat the Empire, anyone could. In orbit above the Imperial capital, Admiral Thomas's flagship received a priority message. The Council had fallen. The military was taking control. "Admiral Thomas," the message read, "you are hereby promoted to Supreme Commander of all Imperial forces. Your first task, save what remains of the Empire." Thomas stood on his bridge, watching the galaxy map. Half the Empire was in open revolt. Earth's forces were striking critical targets at will. The once mighty Imperial fleet was in shambles. "Send a message to Earth," he ordered. "Tell General Wilson." He was right. The Empire should have run when they had the chance. In the command center, Wilson read Thomas's message with grim satisfaction. "Prepare for Phase 4, he ordered. The Empire is about to change forever. The empire that had stood for 10,000 years was collapsing, not from Earth's military might alone, but from the power of an idea, that freedom was worth fighting for. "Send word to all Earth forces," Wilson commanded. "The final phase begins now." The Empire wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy. Instead, we taught them why humans never surrender. The war was entering its final stage. The galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after the war began, representatives from Earth and the Empire met on neutral ground, a space station orbiting a dying star. The station's main chamber held a simple round table, a human tradition for peace talks. General Wilson sat facing Supreme Commander Thomas, former Admiral of the Empire. Between them lay a document that would change the galaxy forever. "You understand why we can't simply accept a surrender," Wilson said calmly. "Humanity has learned too much about the Empire's history." Thomas nodded. "And you understand that even a wounded empire is still dangerous. We need a solution that works for everyone." In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Colonel Parker monitored feeds from 100 different worlds. Former Imperial planets were holding their first free elections. Others were forming their own alliances. The galaxy was transforming. "The old empire is dead," Thomas said, looking at the peace terms. "But maybe that's not a bad thing. We ruled through fear for 10,000 years. Look where that got us." Wilson pushed forward Earth's proposal, a democratic galactic alliance, free trade, protected rights for all species, and most importantly, no more conquests. As they talked, news spread across the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, beings of all species gathered around screens and holographic displays, waiting to hear their fate. "There's one more condition," Wilson added. "Earth demands a buffer zone, a neutral space between human territory and the former empire. We won't risk another surprise attack." Thomas actually smiled. "You still don't trust us. Would you trust someone who tried to conquer your world?" Fair point. Back on Earth, celebrations began as news of the peace terms spread. Humanity had not only survived, but had changed the course of galactic history. Ships that had fought the Empire now carried teachers, engineers, and diplomats to help rebuild war-torn worlds. In the Imperial capital, now renamed the Alliance capital, Thomas addressed the first meeting of the new Galactic Council. Representatives from hundreds of species sat together as equals. "The Empire's greatest mistake," he told them, "wasn't attacking Earth. It was believing that conquest was the only way to rule. Humans taught us their strength in freedom." Colonel Parker led a delegation to a newly freed world, teaching them Earth's most important lesson. Power doesn't come from weapons or technology. It comes from people working together, fighting for what they believe in. On the space station, Wilson and Thomas signed the final documents. The war was officially over. Earth had won more than just its freedom. It had gained respect throughout the galaxy. "You know," Thomas said as they finished, "when I first warned the Empire about humans, even I didn't understand just how dangerous you were. We thought we were the greatest warriors in the galaxy." Wilson shook his head. "That was your mistake. Humans aren't great warriors. We're survivors. We adapt. We learn. And we never forget our history." As the news of peace spread, ships from dozens of newly free worlds arrived at Earth. They came seeking alliances, trade agreements, and most importantly, knowledge. They wanted to learn how one small planet had defeated the mighty Empire. In the command center, General Wilson made his final wartime announcement. "From this day forward, Earth's mission changes. We fought for our freedom. Now we'll help others protect theirs." Thomas looked out at the changed galaxy. The empire that had ruled through fear was gone. In its place, something new was growing. An alliance built on mutual respect and cooperation. "One last question," Thomas said to Wilson. "If we had listened to my warning and left Earth alone, what would you have done?" Wilson smiled. "We would have reached the stars eventually. But we would have come in peace, seeking friends, not subjects. Your empire taught the galaxy to rule through fear. Now humanity will teach it to grow through cooperation. As their ships departed the neutral station, a message was broadcast across the galaxy. It was brief, but it marked the beginning of a new era. The war is over. The empire is reformed. The galaxy is free. And humanity stands ready to help build a better future for all species. Just remember, never underestimate humans. We prefer peace, but we'll always fight for freedom. The galaxy would never forget the lesson. Sometimes the most dangerous species are the ones who fight hardest for peace.